Welcome to the Veterans Archives podcast, where every veteran story is honored and celebrated. Join us as we delve into the rich histories and experiences of those who have served our nation. You can catch our podcast on all major podcast platforms, as well as every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Reads Across America Radio. At Veterans Archives, we believe your story matters. Visit our website at www.veteransarchives.org to explore more about our mission, discover resources for veterans, and stay updated on upcoming episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to engage with our community. Subscribe, like, and share to spread awareness about our veteran stories. Whether you're a veteran, a supporter, or simply curious about the profound journeys of those who have served, Veterans Archives invites you to listen in, learn, and be inspired. Join us as we continue to honor and preserve the legacies of our veterans. Today is Wednesday, August 31st, 2024. I am talking with Brennan Lally, who served in the United States Army. So, Brennan, as my kids would say, we're going to make this Barney simple. We'll just start out with when and where were you born?
I was born in Jackson, Michigan, February 5th, 1991.
Okay. 91, 8 years after I graduated high school.
No kidding.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks, man. So what was it like growing up, Brennan, in Jackson, Michigan? What are some of your earliest memories as a kid?
Earliest memories. I was moving around a lot. Not really stable housing thing. I don't know why, because the family was awesome. We were always, puzzle pieces together. That was really it, really. I just moved around a lot. Very athletic family. I was always doing sports, something, somewhere. If it was a season, we had a sport to go to, whether it be soccer, baseball, football, bowling during the winter, what have you.
So they kept you pretty busy, huh?
Oh, yeah, I was very busy. When I was younger, I was going to 3 or 4 practices a week for other sports. And then everything was on Saturday. So I was exhausted by Saturday evening.
Maybe that was the plan.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Maybe that was the
It could have been.
So tell me about your parents, your mom and your dad.
Well, I have a biological father who was in the Navy. He was a Navy SEAL, retired. Didn't really have much to do with me after he found out I was around, kind of out of the picture. And then my mom was basically my person who really did all the sacrifices and stuff. In a nutshell, she basically did what she had to do to make sure there was some sort of something coming somewhere. Along with my grandparents, who were my biological father's parents. They kind of stepped into that role also. So I kind of had like a group family type thing. Cause I was always at my grandparents' house, always at my, hanging out with them. That's where I lived basically.
Okay.
My stepdad came into the picture about when I was like 3 or 4, I think. I don't remember exactly, but he really stepped up and wanted to be the dad, and I really appreciate him for that. He's a cool dude.
Sounds like a good man. Now, were you an only child?
For a little while.
Yeah.
Biological dad had 2 more kids. I call them my brothers and sisters anyway. They're a little bit closer to my age. And then I have my 2 brothers, my brother and sister, who are twins from my mother, who I grew up with. They're cool.
It's almost you needed one more kid for the Brady Bunch.
No kidding, right? Yeah.
Yep. Oh, hang on. Stop 1 second. If you can try not to tap the table, like if you want to hold your hands
I'm
up.
Fidgety.
Yeah. You want me to get you something to fidget with?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Because I'm fidgety too, and it takes everything out of me not to do this.
Oh yeah. I'll sit on my hands.
Okay. All right. Hopefully that doesn't impact our conversation. So
That will be good.
all right. So we'll just pick up where we left off. So tell me something like one of your favorite memories of your mom growing up.
When I was in middle school, we were playing football. At that point, it's like peewee football. It doesn't really matter. But we were playing Parkside, which is a school down in Jackson that we were playing. And for some strange reason, they don't have stands. So it's literally fence football field. And they were doing a kickoff return or whatever. They were kicking to us or whatever. And I remember hearing my mom screaming at the top of her lungs after I laid out this kid, just plastered him. Like, I don't think he played football after that type of hit.
Was that physical or mental at that point?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Then I went ahead and did it to another kid, and she's just over there flailing her arms around like one of those wacky, waveable, inflatable tube men and just going, ah! It was great.
So was she encouraging you or discouraging you from doing this to other children?
I think it was encouraging
Okay.
because she understands that, you know, when I'm playing football, I'm a different person. And
Right.
when I'm doing my sports and athletics, I'm a different person than what I am. It's intensity all the way up to 11.
Well, and it's funny because anyone like I haven't known you that long, but you seem like a pretty mellow guy.
Oh,
So
I'm chill.
The fact that you knocked the crap out of two people on a football field sort of surprises me, but I can see it. I can see it.
I'm an extremely competitive individual, and I like hitting things.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about your stepdad. You know, you said that he kind of stepped in that role, and you really like and respect him. What are some of the reasons behind that? Because you know that stepfather role can go one way or the other.
Yeah, it's a difficult track to go down, or a difficult trail. He was kind of the stability, like the structure, if I can say that.
Yeah.
He provided the regiment, like, hey, wake up, do this, and you know, that's what it is. And mom's the fun one, you know, typically. But with him being able to do that and just step into that role, and he was learning too at the time, because, you know, he was walking into being a dad, and, you know, he didn't have his own kids at that point. So, I mean, that could be rather difficult. I just really appreciative of it.
Well, and that's good. So tell me like one thing about him that when you think about your stepdad, what comes to mind?
Wow. One thing that comes to mind about my dad, he's always willing to want to help. You know, it took him a minute to understand it, but you know, I'm his son. You know, he wants to help me and my kids and my family and my brothers and sisters and all that. You know, and you can't find people like that anymore. It's hard to find.
Right. Right. And I it wasn't lost on me that I keep calling him your stepdad, but you call him your dad.
Yeah,
so.
it's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. So I get it. Talk a little bit about your brothers and sisters. You know, what's the age difference? What are the names? What was it like growing up with
You're asking me numbers.
Well, whatever you can remember.
Okay, so the next closest to age is my oldest sister, who's like 3-4 years younger than me. Her name's Jasmine. She was in the Air Force and still is in the Air Force. I think right now is the National Guard, Air Guard, whatever they call it.
Air Guard.
Yeah, something like that. Yep. She kind of does the military life, moving and all this, that, and the other. She has a little girl named Amelia. Met her the first time last year. She's absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm an uncle. It was so cool. And that's kind of it there in a nutshell with Jasmine. Don't really talk to her as much as I should, but you know. And then next is my little brother, Trevor. He's the next one in line there. I mean, hard to live in Big Brother shadow, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, and he kind of went off and done his own thing. Don't really talk to him much either. The twins, the two that I see the most and actually have a tattoo that matches them with.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. We came up with that on our spring break this past year. So that's cool. Basically they're my brother and sister. I love them to death, and they're just fun to be around. And that's about it, really. I mean, one I helped coach in soccer a lot. The other one, I just let her be who she wants to be and try to support her as much as possible. And I mean, and when I was in the service, I kind of didn't grow up with them as much, because as soon as I left, they just, you know, went and did their own thing. So,
right.
But they're here in Michigan, so I see them a lot.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, other than sports, because it sounds like that really consumed a lot of your life growing up.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the things that you remember about school and kind of growing up in that way outside of sports? What do you remember about friendships? And
a lot of the friendships I had were kind of like around sports. Mm-hmm. I was really sports driven. We did a lot of after school clubs, but that turned into, hey, let's go play soccer. Hey, let's go.
Right.
But, did a lot of the homecoming things like everyone, like, typical school stuff, like, oh, let's go build this float for homecoming, or let's go do this for winter formal, or let's go do this. Or, hey, let's just, at the time, there was a new restaurant down the street. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it. Clavon's.
Yes, I am.
Clavon's.
They're not a sponsor, but
they're not. But
I go there every chance.
Oh,
I
yeah.
get.
They're great food. But at that time, they were still the new restaurant. Just down the street from my high school. I'm like, hey, let's go to Clavon's, get a sliced pizza or something. So it was always something.
So if I asked you, asked you, like, what's one memory from that time in high school that kind of stays with you that's a good memory for you that we can talk about on the radio?
Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Just the freeness of just, having that trust built with your parents, and like, hey, we know you're not going to do anything stupid, and you just go do stuff and just be with your friends. Just the carelessness and freeness, I guess, is what I would remember. Like going to those events, going to those things, going to people's houses and bonfires, going to dances, going to the Friday night football games and all that stuff. So yeah, just that as a collective.
So as you were graduating, did you get the timeless speech about how this is the best time of your life? And
yeah.
And if you were me, you didn't believe it. So
yeah.
Did you not believe it when they said it? And then looking back, you're like, oh, maybe it was?
Yeah, I'm like one time the educator is right.
Exactly. This is the easiest time. This is the best time. And you're never going to have these feelings again. You might as well put them in your memory bank.
Oh yeah, I put those right there in the old Fire Stick and just locked it away. It was a great time. I enjoyed it.
So you make it through school. You knock some people out. You have a good time. You play some sports. What happens after high school?
Literally the summer after high school, I enlist in the U.S. Army.
Okay, and why? Like,
to be honest with you,
what was the catalyst for all that?
The catalyst for that was at the beginning of my senior year. It was kind of a weird time for my mom because she just got through a divorce, this, that, and the other. And she's like, I can't send you to college. So one of two things have to happen. You have to go do the college thing yourself, or you have to promise me to go into the service. Mm-hmm. I felt like at that time I wasn't ready for school. I'm like, oh, I just got done doing all this school. Why would I go do more? So literally, it's my mindset at that point. So I'm like, I'll just go down to the recruiter and we'll see what we can do.
Did you spin a dial and say Army, or was there a reason why Army?
Be honest with you, I actually kind of liked the ACU uniform. I thought it was cool. A lot of people are going to hate me for that, but I don't care. I thought it was cool.
Beret or no beret?
Both.
You like the beret?
I thought the beret was cool.
Wow, you are not going to be popular.
I don't care. I thought it was cool at the time.
I like the beret too.
Yeah,
I still have mine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, mine too. I got one in my office.
Yeah. I don't have mine in my office. It's in a box at my house, but
yeah, it's hanging on my coin rack in my office.
Well, we'll have to take a picture of it for sure.
Yeah, it's great.
For sure.
It's because you always have to have your parade stuff. So this was my parade beret.
Right. You have your working beret and your parade beret.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So the uniform was cool, and you're like, I'm going to go join the Army.
Sure,
so
why not?
What was that experience like, going to that recruiting office and figuring out what you're going to do?
I mean, to be honest with you, it was pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy. The original job that I was going to try and do was, what was it? It was 37 Fox, which was psychological operations.
Okay.
I really wanted to do that. Sounded awesome. Sounded cool. Get to jump out of airplanes and all that stuff. Do their whole, be all you can be type thing or whatever, or Army of One stuff or whatever.
If you're going to do it, you might as well be all in, right?
Yeah, you might as well just dive in head first and learn how to swim later. So went through there, and then I almost got qualified for it. It was learning the second language that got me.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, the DLAB, that is ridiculous. ridiculous.
And anyone who has gone through that knows what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was so silly.
It was all made up language, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How fast can you learn a language? I'm like, what? And they're reading rules, and it just keeps piling rules on rules on rules on rules on rules. And it's just, all of a sudden I'm just sitting here and just, blah, 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 and I'm like, what?
So the DLAB gotcha.
Oh yeah. That, and I mean, they would have looked over my color blindness if I did well on the DLAB, but DLAB got me right in the kidney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what'd you end up picking?
Ended up picking 36 Bravo as a financial technician and service member or whatnot, whatever it was at the time. Previously known as 44 Charlie, paymaster.
Okay.
Because it was that or go be a janitor.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, not gonna be a janitor.
No. And what was the flash to bang from signing up to actually going to basic? How long did you have?
About 3 months.
Okay.
So I had my summer, hung out, had fun, did a few things I wasn't supposed to.
Right.
Last hurrah type things. And then when it really hit that I wasn't coming back for a while was when you're at MEPS and they walk you out the door. That's when I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
shit.
So that's what we call the oh shit moment, folks. That right there.
That was the old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you leave Michigan.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to basic?
I went to Fort Jackson. They call it Relaxin' Jackson, but apparently they didn't get the memo.
I gotta ask, man, what's the deal with the Army? Because I feel like they go and find the crappiest piece of property with the most mosquitoes that they can. And then they go, oh, is it 800 degrees and 9,000% humidity? We're going to put a base here.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's Fort Jackson.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That and a lot of sand.
Yes.
And sand fleas. And it's just not a pleasant experience.
I feel like the weirder the bug, the better. Like they're going, what kind of weird animals do you have here? Yeah, we need a base here, too.
Yeah. You guys got grizzly bears here yet? No? All right, we won't put it here.
No. We'll find a place that has those. Yeah. So you get to basic training. Mm-hmm. What was that like initial introduction to the military like for
Great
you?
introduction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to say it.
That's a good word. I like
possible.
That one. Great introduction. I like that. So the welcome to the Army moment was 1:00 in the morning. I'm tired. Been traveling all day. Went from Chicago to Dulles, which is I think in Washington, D.C., right?
Yep, it's in D.C.
Yeah. Sat there for 10 hours to go to another small, janky airport to go to Columbia, which is where the airport is for that. And it's 1:00 in the morning. And this big old, I won't even say drill sergeant because he wasn't. I will say the cadre just waltzes in and he's like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get off the bus. Males on the left, females on the right. You have 5 seconds. Go. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was because you've seen the movies and they're like, oh, they get in your face and all that, but no, that happened at a later date.
Okay, so they lull you into a false sense of security.
Oh yeah.
And then they pull the pin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was great.
So and all that stuff you just described. I learned this way later in life. Like none of that's by accident.
No, it's not.
Like they book you the worst flights.
Yep.
They make you stay up as long as possible, and you always arrive at boot camp when it's dark.
Yep, 1:00 in the morning. Well, actually, we were not even at boot camp. We were at reception.
Right.
It's terrible.
So this is another thing that I'm learning is reception. So when I joined the Navy, I went to Navy boot camp.
Yeah.
There was it wasn't. When I hear about Army reception, I'm like Navy, when you got there, it wasn't anything like that. They immediately started yelling at you and pushing you around and that kind of stuff. It sounds like Army reception, people get there and they're like, oh, this isn't too bad.
Oh, no, it wasn't that. It was a different type of torture.
Right.
It was, it's 1:00 in the morning. I'm an NCO that's getting ready to get out. Let's just do what we need to do and leave for the day, basically, is what they were doing. Yeah. And they just we'll save all that for the drill sergeants when you get introduced to your drill sergeants. And we're like, oh, great.
Well, how long were you in reception then?
About a week.
Okay.
It was a really crappy week.
So you leave reception and you get your true introduction.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about that. Yeah, what was that like for you there, brother?
Well, they don't do it anymore, which makes me very upset. It's called the shark attack. I don't know if you're familiar.
I am. And for anyone out there that's not familiar, go out to YouTube because there's about a bazillion videos of the shark attack. So yeah, let's hear about the shark attack.
So first things first, we're in reception. We have all our new uniform stuff on after being issued and this, that. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Feeling pretty cool about myself. I'm like, all right, cool. All right.
You got those ACUs you were looking for, right?
ACUs, yep. ACUs, all that, looking nice, looking sharp. I'm like, okay, cool. And then we meet our drill sergeants. I forget her name, but she was terrifying. This short little Filipino woman, I forget her name, because all I remember her is drill sergeant. I don't remember, that's why.
Right.
And she's like, you guys have 10 seconds to get on the bus or you're going to get off the bus. I'm going to smoke the living hell out of you. And then we're going to do it again. And I'm like, oh, geez.
There's always that one guy that doesn't know how to count to 10, right?
No.
So you're like,
no. Well, I'm like, what are you doing? Get on the bus. So we get on the bus after 3 tries. Dripping in sweat, tired. I'm like, oh my goodness, what did I do? And then they're like, put your face in your bag because you had your front bags and packs all front loaded. So we sat in our bags front loaded so you didn't know or couldn't orient where you were, for reasons. And then that's when we met the rest of our drill sergeants. That's when you get the, everyone get off my motherfucking bus now.
Let's take a quick break.
Veterans Archives is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we rely on donations from our listeners. If you are enjoying these stories and would like to support our continued efforts, please go to www.veteransarchives.org and select the donate button. Thank you.
Just start going off and oh my goodness.
You got to stand there and hold your bag too,
yeah,
right?
Hold your bag in front and then they're like, put your bag over your head. No, put your bag in front. And oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then push-ups, lots of push-ups, more push-ups.
How long did that entertaining physical fitness?
To be honest with you, I don't remember. There were some people that were saying, oh God, and then there was one drill sergeant not missing a beat. He was like, God can't help you here.
Oh, yeah, because he's probably heard people say, oh God, lots and lots of times.
Exactly. It was hilarious. And I just like, wow, this guy is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hilarious.
So what was the rest of that experience like, that whole basic training for you?
To be honest with you, with my athletic background and whatnot, the PT and all that stuff was not really, it was difficult because you got to, get used to it and it's working different muscles and whatnot, but it's just, just get through it.
Yeah.
But the psychological is where it kind of got me a couple times. The drill sergeants were just, in your face, like you have no personal space whatsoever. And with me being a little bit taller than some of my drill sergeants, they were not so nice about it.
They weren't intimidated, were they?
No, they weren't.
And they let you know it.
Oh yeah, he there was one drill sergeant. I remember his name too. He was crazy. Short, little, stocky pit bull guy. His name was Drill Sergeant Torres. Frickin', after leaving basic, the guy's a frickin' genius. But at the time, he doesn't look up to privates.
Right.
So he's looking straight into my chest, drilling his hat into my chest. Like, what, do you think you're better than me, private, because you're taller than me? I'm like, what? I don't even know who you are.
Who told you that? No, that's not how I feel.
That's not how I roll at all.
Right.
But yeah, it's just some fun things.
A lot of great lessons learned in basic training. I think.
Keep your head down and don't say shit.
Right. And don't volunteer.
Don't volunteer
for anything. In fact, I learned later on, Navy actually stands for never again volunteer yourself.
No.
That's what I heard. So did they ever sweat the walls when you were in basic training? Are you familiar with that term?
Well, no, I'm not really familiar with that term.
So sweat the walls is they put you in your barracks and they close all the windows and all the doors and they actually turn the heat on even though it's summer, and then they make you do physical exercise until the walls are sweating.
No, they did not, because with us being in South Carolina, they were really concerned about heat casualties and heat categories.
Right.
So with that being a thing, they didn't want people to like pass out or whatnot. Because believe it or not, when we were at reception not doing anything, they had to send like 8 or 9 recruits to the hospital because of dehydration.
Right.
And it's just people being stupid.
Right. Well, and a lot of people, when they get there, are not in shape. They don't understand.
Well, not only that, it's just, a lot of the folks and recruits and whatnot aren't, from the South. So they're not accustomed to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately for you, you had your athleticism to kind of compensate for being from Michigan.
Yeah, no kidding.
So you obviously made it through basic training. So your AIT, was it co-located or not co-located?
It was co-located.
Okay.
Yep. Literally on the other side of the hill where I was at basic.
Boot camp phase 2, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what it was.
Pretty
like.
much.
So talk me through, what was your AIT like? What are some of the things you remember about that?
Well, first time going to AIT, it was a little bit of a culture shock because it was a little bit more relaxed. And I'm like, what? This is crazy. And then we get regular cadre, regular NCOs, educators at that point to teach the individual skill set needed. And so I'm just there, just like, what? I went through all this just to what?
Did you find yourself like still on kind of high alert?
Oh yeah,
right. Like any minute now, this is just going to crumble.
Something's going to go. It's going to go to shit real quick.
Right.
Like something silly is going to happen, and I'm just on high alert for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, nothing crazy happened yet. Let's give it another week, see what happens. Nothing. And I'm like, wow, okay. And then they started telling me that it's student led. I'm like, so we're the ones, doing all, and they're like, yeah, you're the ones that are, doing all this, and this within our guidelines. We are making sure you understand this, and this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, and then if something stupid happens, we all get smoked anyway, but besides the point.
Right. So how long was your AIT? Do you remember?
Oh, it was about about 2.5 months.
Okay.
2.5 months, 3. Yeah. 2.5 months, 3 months. Yeah.
So when you got done with AIT, did you go home or did you go home between basic and AIT? Did you come home?
I didn't get the opportunity to do the go home because it was literally, you're going to AIT next week and it's right there. And they just pointed at the building and they're like, it's right there. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Pick up your bags and head over.
Yeah. There's walk
no
over.
Uber.
Just walk over. Yeah.
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 So you get done with AIT and then, so what happens from there?
I get a little bit of leave. So I come home for the first time.
Yeah.
It was winter. There was snow on the ground and I was really cold.
Because you hadn't been in the cold for a little while.
Like 6-7 months. Yeah.
Right.
It was crazy.
But you got to wear that cool uniform home, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Through the plane. I was really, thank you for your service. I'm like, oh, thanks. I haven't really done anything yet, but okay.
Well, you survived basic training in AIT.
Survived basic training in AIT. Yeah.
Oh, good. What was it like? So what was it like coming home other than it was cold? Was it nice seeing the family again? I mean, did you have friends that hadn't really gone anywhere? Other friends that had done stuff? What was that like?
A lot of my friends decided they wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
And they were doing that bit. They were going through that bit. Family. I mean, it's family. They're like, oh, hey, B, what's going on? I'm like, oh, hey, where are you? They're like, where you been? I was literally in South Carolina for 6 months.
And you weren't on vacation in place.
No, I was not on vacation. Part of me wanted to say, I was at Myrtle Beach hanging out.
Right.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So you take your leave, you come back. After AIT, what was your first duty station?
Joint Base Lewis-McChord.
Okay.
Out in Washington State, about as furthest away as I could be from home.
So did you like it out there? I loved Washington State. I went to Fort Lewis.
At Fort Lewis, yep.
Yeah.
Love Fort Lewis.
Beautiful.
I love it. I fell in love with that place as soon as I landed. It was a little rainy, but, Seattle. But the first sunny day we had, saw Mount Rainier, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was so gorgeous. Beautiful. People were nice for the most part. Was part of the 9th financial company out of Fort Lewis there, and it was fun learning how to do things with them and whatnot.
So your job was basically making sure people got paid and making sure other things got paid.
Yep, and deducted as well. Don't forget the deductions part.
Oh, yes.
The least favorite part of my job.
Well, those deductions got forgotten once in a while, and all of a sudden your paycheck was half of what it should be. So,
no kidding.
So you definitely want to do your job right.
Oh, yeah. I was on everyone's love list when it was payday and everyone's shit list when they did something they weren't supposed to.
Right? It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
I think that's the true definition.
Definitely.
So now, did you deploy from that base?
Yep, I did.
Okay.
Literally 3 months after I arrived.
Wow. Wow. And so some people, everyone has their reasons for joining, right? And sometimes when deployments come up, people are like, oh, wait a minute, that's not what I signed on for. Is that how you felt? To
be honest with you, when I was in basic training, they're like, everyone here is going to be deployed. You are part of the force that is going to start replenishing the force that is overseas. So they already got it into my brain that I was going to be there.
Wow, way to set the expectation. That's actually really good.
And I was very thankful for that. And that's why I said Drill Sergeant, Torres, absolute genius.
Right.
So he had me pretty much, numb to it. So I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. At this point, you don't have a girlfriend or a wife or a fiance or none of that, right?
I was literally 18.
You're just single Brennan getting ready to go do something.
Oh, don't get me started about single Brennan.
Yeah, I bet there's some stories there too.
Well, we'll talk offline about that.
All right, we'll keep this PG-13 for the audience here. So you get your orders and you're going to deploy. Where are you set to deploy to?
A little base called oh my goodness, Fob Adder, just south of Fallujah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Big airstrip in the middle of the desert next to a big old building. That's called the Ziggurat. Crazy.
Wow. And how did you, when you got the orders and you're ready to go, like, how did you feel? What were your thoughts about deploying to Iraq?
To be honest with you, it was kind of like, well, I guess it's just my turn to go. I'm going to get ready for this. I just have my family that's in Michigan. They're not going to be able to go with me. So, and I have my family that I'm going to go with my detachment that's going. So there's only about 26 of us going, and we're going to support over 20,000 troops that were there at the time, I think.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. I was a very busy bee when I got there.
Yeah. Yeah. Do the math on that. You had a lot of people you were responsible for.
Yeah. And, some of the detachment that we were with were senior NCOs, officers. So the pie got even bigger for us lower enlisted folks to take care of.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. But very important job.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, so did you do a train up prior to going?
Yeah, we did a train up immediately as soon as I got there.
Okay.
I got in processed with everything, which was surprisingly fast.
For the Army?
Well, no, just in general, because when when you go to a new station or whatnot, and you're trying to go to brigade, battalion, company, I literally got one done after the other, like instant. It was crazy how fast that happened. I think it was because I was getting ready to deploy.
Right. It might have put a little emphasis on getting this done, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, did you go to NTC for train up, or was
nope?
It completely different?
We have out on the West Coast also small little place called Yakima. Yakima Training Center. Really cool. So we just got to drive around in Humvees that we didn't use, which was great. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing about train up prior to deployment is that, as I recall, almost everything that they talked about was not how it was.
Did not happen.
It was the information was so yesterday.
Exactly.
Thank goodness they got us at least somewhat prepared, but it was nothing like what we.
Oh no, nothing at all. You're basically like, oh, so this is what could happen, and what they're reading the pamphlet out of is like from like Desert Storm. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah. But great experience out at Yakima. We were just driving Humvees around, shooting blanks at things. I mean, I was on top of the Humvee looking out at this beautiful landscape, and I'm like, this is cool. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah. They do like IED drills, rollover drills, all of that stuff, right?
Oh yeah, roll over, roll over, roll over.
Did you? So yeah. Did you get the? I'm trying to remember when this came out. Did they have like the rollover trainer?
Yeah, it was the Humvee.
Yeah,
that you're like strapped in or whatnot, and then you got to yell roll over as it's rolling over.
Right.
Yeah, I actually got certified on that. That was pretty fun.
It's like a circus ride in the military.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And what the best thing about it is it's completely unrealistic.
Oh, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but yeah, yes, it is.
You're just sitting there going at like half a mile an hour as you're rotating either which way.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I feel like they should put a crank on the front of it and just spun you
start
around.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how it's really going to feel.
This is how it's going to happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they do their best, I guess.
And then you got MREs and rippets just floating everywhere in there to make, got to keep it real.
Oh yeah. A friend of mine, she was in a car wreck and her car rolled over.
Oh no.
And she was telling me that like everything inside of her car was like suspended in slow motion. It was very weird.
Really?
Yeah, because like her computer case and all her purse and all that other stuff, she said it was a very weird experience.
So it's kind of like in the movies, they're like in slow mo, and you're all like,
right.
So that's how she felt like. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, until the car hit, and then it like,
and then everything kind of just came back to normal.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think the movies capture it pretty well. Now I was never involved in a rollover in a Humvee, but I got to imagine it's got to be pretty close to that.
Yeah, I would
only
imagine.
more terrifying.
Oh yeah, because extremely more weight, and you have all these lovely tools that we have.
Yeah, all the stuff that we use when we're out there. You get through the training at Yakima. You are ready to go now.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that experience like leaving the States, knowing that you're headed for the desert?
To be honest with you, back to Joe Sarn-Torres, I was just numb to it. I'm like, okay, this is what it feels like. Cool, let's go. Yeah. I was kind of getting in the mindset of it's time to go do stuff, and let's, go get, it's my turn to carry the load for a bit.
So did you go to like Kuwait first for like, what is it, 14 days for acclimation or whatever?
Yeah,
that's what
it was about two-ish weeks.
Yeah. Where were you at Camp Beering there, or were you at someplace else?
Yeah, Beering, I think.
I think it probably had 50 different names, but it was Beering when I was.
Yeah. Just a little thing in the middle of the desert.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk a little bit about Kuwait, because I know what it was like for me, but I want to hear what it was like for you. I want to hear your experience getting to Kuwait.
So Kuwait was quite the experience. So we're traveling from the West Coast. So we're thinking, okay, cool. So we're going to go west. No, we go east.
Oh.
So we go from Washington State to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, to Detroit, to Atlanta, Georgia, from Atlanta, Georgia to Ireland.
Shannon, Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Everyone goes to Shannon, Ireland.
Yes.
I got a picture of me there. I'll show it to you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But at that time, it's like we're just exhausted from traveling. So then from there to the airport in Kuwait, and that's when it kind of hit me a little bit. They're like, oh, by the way, we don't have baggage service here. So all E4 and belows, get off the plane. So it's like 102 degrees outside and it's 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we just start chucking bags into the back of this big old semi. And it wasn't just us. The plane was full.
Right.
It was we were with another transportation company out of Fort Sill. So that's probably why we went to Fort Sill, now that I think about it. Yeah. That makes sense. So yeah, then we're just sitting there chucking bags off the plane into the, oh man, that heat was ridiculous. That was the first time I actually had it was bad.
So what's your reaction when people say this phrase? Oh, it's a dry heat.
Oh, it's still hot.
You kind of have to resist the urges to punch them in the throat, right?
Yeah, throat punch and then continual stomp into the dirt. Yeah.
Right, because it's hot.
It's yeah.
And so what was your acclimation time like in Kuwait? What kinds of things did you do?
We be honest with you, we got there at 6-ish. And we just basically got our stuff together and we just went to our, transient area, wherever, transitional area. And we just slept. We were exhausted because you've been traveling literally for 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm going to go crash. And then they're like, yeah, go ahead, go crash. And then the officers and senior enlisted went and did what they needed to do. And then they came back, oh, hey, guys, this is what's going on. We're going to stay here. Go to the gym, do this, that. I mean, they were keeping it light because, why not, right?
Well, I think part of it, too, is I remember having to resist the urge to sleep during the day.
Oh, it was rough.
It was so hard.
Oh, yeah, because you're sitting there because you're trying to get acclimated for the time difference because that's like an 8 to 10 hour difference.
Yeah.
And it's even more so because we're from the West Coast.
Oh,
so
yeah.
add another 3 hours.
Yeah, I had not considered that, but you're right.
Yeah, it's like a whole day. So it was a struggle, but yeah, it was rough. So we finally got acclimated, and we're like, okay, cool. And then they're like, so half of you are going here, half of you are going here. So I'm like, oh, so I have even more stuff to do now because I was under the impression that we were gonna go from Kuwait with our whole crew to this one location. No. Half of us go one, half of us go to another, and we still have to do 20,000 each or 20,000+ each. It's crazy.
Wow. So you get through all of that, and now you head to your fob,
mm-hmm.
and kind of walk me through what that experience was like.
Well, we were leaving Kuwait on the big old C-130. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Big old crates in the middle and this, that, and the other. There's like, get in where you fit in type deal.
Right.
And we land, and they had the plane super chilled. It was like really cold in there. So I'm like, okay, this is awesome. This is great. And as soon as they opened the door, it's like opening an oven door, when you first open it the first time or whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, couldn't even keep my eyes open because the heat that was coming, and you could see the heat radiating. And I was like, oh my goodness.
What have I gotten myself
into?
What
the hell is this?
Right. I want to walk back though a little bit. So I don't know if you guys did this or not, but the first time I flew in a C-130 heading into Mosul, right? It was a great flight. We had it was as good as it could be on one of those.
Oh yeah.
I had never heard the term combat landing before.
Oh, you just drop.
Yeah. So did you experience that? Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. What was that like
so
for you?
They didn't even give us the brief that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because, everyone just assumes.
Would you do that?
Why would you? So apparently on that particular airstrip, they get mortared a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's considered combat landing. So you're sitting there up in the clouds just chilling. And then for whatever reason, the airmen start getting strapped in. And I'm like, so what's going on? And then all of a sudden, it's like the cartoon movies. You just drop and you're like still floating in the air, and you're like, until you drop, look down, and then you fall.
Right.
That
sums it up, huh?
Basically.
All right. Yeah. I didn't want to miss that experience. I didn't think it was only me.
And then combat takeoff is the same, except, going up, obviously.
Right.
Oh.
Whole thing's terrifying. Oh, I don't care who you are. It's just terrifying.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So fun. Said no one.
So you get there, you step out into the easy bake oven.
Oh yeah.
And then, so do you start your left seat, right seat? Mm-hmm. And how was that?
We get in processed, obviously, with the whatever. Like, hey, this is who's here. This is who's here. This is what we have for, inspectable items or tracking items or whatever. And the left seat, right seat, I mean, we were replacing a reserve unit. So it was all sorts of ate up. It was bad.
That's not good to hear.
I know. I feel bad saying that, but they were out of New York. So
yeah,
literally New York City. It was crazy.
I think it's fair to say that there's 8 up units
everywhere
across the board, right? It's not just a reserve thing. So I want to make sure that we make that distinction.
No. It's not a reserve thing. It's just this happened to be a reserve unit. Right. Just happened by circumstance. But I digress. So
anyway, so you get there now. You're in process. You're doing your thing. Mm-hmm. Well, what was a typical day there like for you?
Wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. because that would be the coolest time to go actually outside and do some sort of fitness.
Right. And by the way, the coolest time outside is what? Like what?
90,
Yeah.
89.
And that felt cool, didn't it?
Oh, it felt great.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, yes, sweet. It's only 87 degrees outside. Perfect. I can wear shorts and a sweater.
Right, so you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're doing your PT or whatever it is you want to do.
And then go get cleaned up. Typical day there. Report to the office so we can do the activities and all that stuff. Typical office hours were like 9 to 6. Handle every issue that comes in, make sure folks have money for AFEs and internet and stuff like that, basically. And that's basically how it went for the first 2 to 3 months until we got proficient at that. And then they started doing inquiries from the outlying units like, hey, when's finance going to come out and see us? Because we have XYZ that needs to be done. So they started sending me out to go with other units to go to our outlying combat outposts. And
so I think that people have the misconception that if you're in finance, you're sitting on a fob somewhere and you're perfectly safe.
Oh, no. Even if you're on a fob, you're not perfectly safe.
No, but there's that misconception.
Oh, no.
There's definitely that misconception.
No.
Right?
I will tell you this.
But that was not your experience.
No, that was not my experience. My experience was I basically volunteered to do it because I didn't want to be that fobbit that they said. Right. So I went out and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go. So I went to all those units. I went to the units and the outliers. I did all the other special pay missions. Like literally, I was in Fallujah. We ended up doing like a Black Hawk thing from Fallujah to the border of Iraq and Iran. Wicked. Yeah. Entirely different. Then from there to another base in between the Tigris and the Euphrates. Completely different environment. And then from there to Baghdad and did the same thing back. Right. Crazy. But yeah, I did convoys from those to other outlying things. I wanted to not be the fobbit.
Right. Well, and in all honesty, I mean, if you're there, you might as well see the place, right?
Heck yeah. I saw Iran. Iran's entirely different than Iraq. It's crazy.
Well, and when you travel Iraq too, right?
Yeah, it's entirely different.
Right. Just like the United States.
Yeah,
like if I go to Arkansas, it's different than I go to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people lump it all in, it's Iraq, so here's how it is.
Well, and then I kind of look at it like a little bit differently. It's like, this is where history was. This is where, ancient civilizations were cradled. This is you have the Tigris and the Euphrates.
Yeah, Euphrates.
Yeah. So that's where, it's cradle of civilization for a reason. It's between these two rivers. And it's where a lot of civilizations, got their ideas, Babylon and all, Mesopotamia, that type of stuff. So I just looked at it that way and it's like, whoa, crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about the gates of Nineveh.
Exactly.
Right where I was at.
Exactly.
So
just north of it. Yeah.
Totally get it. Anything happen on any of those missions?
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit if you want to.
One of the times when it was one of those rare opportunities where it was me and one of my senior NCOs when we were returning from a mission, it was just us and the flight crew on a Black Hawk or whatever, because they were just doing a routine supply run, and they're like, hey, you guys heading here? And we're like, yeah, just hop on, we'll go. We got shot at a little bit. It was fun doing acrobatic things in a Black Hawk. Wasn't ready for it, and just all of a sudden you start doing combat maneuvers and things to get out of the way of things, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Pooped my pants a little bit, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's okay to be a little scared in those situations.
It was a little terrifying. I was like, well, let's go.
I used to work for a guy who said a little bit of fear is a good thing because it keeps you from doing stupid shit.
Oh yeah, definitely, and then keeps you on edge because it gives you that heightened awareness.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then another one where we were at another larger base. I forget the base name, but we had to convoy to this police station that they converted into like an outpost or whatnot. And we've done it a couple times, but this time it was pushed back because there was a riot in the town. And I'm like, oh no. So we're sitting there waiting. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So we're sitting there waiting. It's nighttime. And they're like, okay, we're going to go. I'm like, okay, fine. So we hop in the big old MRAPs, the big mine-resistant vehicles. And we're just going, cruising. And then we get to the city, and it's people everywhere. And I'm like, it's kind of late at night for everyone to be out. But okay, that's fine. We get there, do what we need to do. I help load up stuff, help take care of stuff, take stuff to, the soldiers that are there, pay stuff and whatnot. Return, and we get loaded up to leave. And we go to the road that we were exiting out of and whatnot. No one was there. Nobody.
That's a bad sign.
That's a very bad sign.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sitting there looking around. I'm like, oh no. Because there was literally hundreds of people here not an hour ago.
Right.
And then that's when it happened. We got hit with an IED.
And how was that?
It was not a pleasant experience.
No.
It was one of those shape charges type things. That was one of the newer ones at the time.
The EFP?
The projectile one.
Yeah.
The explosive electron projectile where it shoots like the molten copper.
Yep. Straight out of Iran, by the way.
Yeah.
That's where they come from.
Yeah.
So you got hit with that.
Yeah, we did. Luckily, it wasn't angled right properly, so I'm assuming it might have fell.
Uh-huh.
And it only took out the wheels. So nobody got,
Didn't blow it in half, didn't
no,
kill
it
anybody.
was just a smaller one. It was like a pipe bomb type size. Yeah, it took out all the wheels of the MRAP, and I was like, oh my goodness. After the ringing stopped.
Right? Right?
I checked myself. I'm like, okay, we good? And look at everyone else. We're good? Okay.
No one's bleeding. All my limbs are here.
Yeah, limbs are here. Let me check, make sure. Okay, I didn't pee, so we're good.
Did it surprise you how you got used to things?
It's scary.
Yeah.
Like, as a whole, like, I think that's when you kind of fall back on the training that you've had and the stuff that you've had drilled into you. Like, I just reacted. I didn't really think about it. Like, we got out of the truck, did what we needed to do, and if anything would have went crazy, I don't think I would have thought. I would have just reacted, because at this point, it's my safety, everyone else's safety. And, that's kind of the way I look at it.
Right.
And it's kind of scary how you think back about, well, what if this would have happened? What if this would have happened? There's so many variables that could have been way worse than what it was.
Oh, absolutely.
And that could have turned into something else. And I mean, there was literally hundreds of people there an hour ago. So where'd they go?
Yeah.
Did they go home to go get their weapons, or did they do what?
What do they know that I don't know?
Exactly. I was like, after the fact, after the adrenaline kind of, I was like, oh no, that could have been a Black Hawk Down episode. That would have been bad.
Right. So do you find that it's right when you're in the moment, like you just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You don't even think about it. And sometimes you laugh. You do kind of weird things, but then like later on when you're alone with your thoughts
And the logic takes over.
and you start processing it, that's when you're like, oh, holy crap.
Yeah, that could have been bad.
Yeah. And then you compound that with a year-long deployment where you're doing that every day. When you get home, it's different.
Oh yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about that. So, so that was, I mean, that whole situation is almost textbook, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
if the marketplace is empty, don't go to the marketplace.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, that was the only way in or out to get to that spot. So we were kind of,
You were stuck,
exactly.
but you knew like, oh, something's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, there's so many people here and it's late at night. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And then there was nobody. And I'm like, we were only gone an hour. It's crazy.
Right. Well, how's the rest of the deployment then?
I mean, it was pretty straightforward, the rest of it. I mean, we got mortared every once in a while, and we had a running joke where, like, oh, it must have been payday. We're getting hit by Mazul's or Habib's stuff. Ridiculous.
Right.
So stupid.
They get paid on the 1st and 15th. That's when they
Yeah, exactly.
garbage,
Yeah,
right?
that's basically that's when we got mortared. It was terrible. Funny story about getting mortared though. It was funny. Well, not funny, kind of terrifying, but funny at the same time.
That's funny now, right?
Oh, it's hilarious now. So I'm sitting there on the toilet doing number 2, dropping a deuce.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me why a mortar dropped and mine dropped at the same time, and I thought I broke the toilet.
You were dropping mortars, they were dropping mortars.
Exactly.
I guess. Yeah.
And it was terrible. Like, as soon as I walked out and like behind the barrier or whatnot, there's this big crater. And I'm like, that wasn't there before.
Right.
Crazy.
Did I have something to do with that?
Yeah. What did I do?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, and you think about how many times, like, I don't know if it's divine intervention or what it is, but how many times that could have been me, but
it could have been.
right?
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, they could have just done one click less, one click more. The mortar itself could have been lighter. It could have been heavier.
Right. They could have counted wrong. Who knows?
Yeah.
What
it is.
We're here today, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you go through the rest of it. So it was a 12-month deployment, correct?
Yep. It was we were the last ones to do the last 12-month deployment. And then after that, it was 9 months. So we were kind of a little salty about that, but that was okay.
Lucky you.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Lucky you. We'll talk a little bit about prepping to come home, and then what was it like?
To be honest with you, prepping to come home was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
We had to get our connexes. Everyone knows what connexes are for the most part. The shipping containers together. So I'm like, hey, I'll volunteer. I'll go. So me and my squad leader at the time, we went to Kuwait and hung out for about 2-3 weeks, waiting for our connexes to get here so that they can get on the ship to go. So we were just chilling in Kuwait, just eating McDonald's,
Just doing your thing.
just hanging out.
Was it kind of strange? Like, after deployment, you're still there, but like, yeah, you're eating a Big Mac. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't a Big Mac. There's something off about it, like, but it was so good.
right.
And I'm like, okay, this is good. I love it. This is awesome. Been wanting this for a very long time. This is great. But
Probably wasn't beef.
it probably wasn't. It was probably camel. But back to it.
Yeah.
Just something about that interaction brought it kind of back, starts, regressing you down a little bit.
Right. That normalcy that you used to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a new normal
yeah.
while you're there.
Oh, yeah.
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 Now you get on a plane, you fly back.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have to do like the hopscotch across
Oh, we
America?
hopscotched
Yeah.
aggressively. We didn't skip no rocks either. We just, from Kuwait to Ireland to Atlanta, from Atlanta to Washington. That was I slept so hard.
Oh, yeah. Were you one of those people that had to like drink NyQuil, or did you just sleep?
I just slept.
Yeah.
I was just tired from all the things that we did, and it was relaxing to just know, hey, back in America, let's just chill.
Yeah.
Don't got to be on high guard anymore.
And you're only what, like maybe 2 years into your enlistment at this point, because you like
Year and a half.
Yeah, basic AIT, duty station, whoosh, you're out of there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you still have a little ways to go. When you got back to the States, then did you take some time?
I did. I took some time. I went home, hung out, kind of got reacquainted with everybody. At this point, my little brother, who I left was at my belly button height, was now over me.
Right.
Literally shot up 4 feet. And I'm looking up at him. I'm like, wow. And he's thinking he's hot shit now because, he's, 15 at the time?
Well, that's the age where you know everything.
Oh, exactly.
Everyone else is stupid.
Exactly. And I gave him the friendly reminder. I'm like, just because you're taller than me does not mean anything. I still outweigh you by like 100 pounds.
You sound like drill sergeant. Yeah. I was wondering if we are going to get that conversation. Yeah, you're not better than me just because you're taller, buddy.
Exactly.
I can still take you, and don't forget it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How different were you when you got home that first time from deployment? Like for me, I always thought everyone else had changed, but it wasn't everybody else. It was me. So how different was that for you?
To be honest with you, I couldn't walk on grass.
Yeah.
Could not do it.
I still can't do it.
It's really difficult.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to break.
It gives me anxiety.
Oh my gosh. Like when I see Mike walking on grass, I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, it's his grass.
You can walk on this grass.
But besides the point,
Yeah.
it was, I was very regimented, like to the T. I didn't sleep in. I got up early. I did my everything that I did because, it's what I did for a year plus.
Right.
Went for a run, weight lift, all the normal, what I thought was normal. Yeah. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. Did you find yourself being a little judgy of other people?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm like, you're walking out of the house looking like that.
Right.
Why?
Right. How dare you sleep until 7:30?
What's wrong with you? It's 6:15. Why aren't you awake?
Yeah. Right. So now you have to adjust a little bit to, hey, we're not, we're not in the.
That was an adjustment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did any of that, once you got back, I mean, you're just on leave right now, so you haven't been back a long time. Did that stuff start to catch up with you a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Almost immediately.
How was that?
When I was home, there was a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
And I thought we were getting mortared. So I went back to, what's the word I'm looking for? We'll call it survival mode, I guess.
Fight or flight.
That one, the fight, because the light switch don't work on this guy.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the fight. Yeah. And then I was literally looking for my weapon, my pistol, my whatever that I could defend what needs to be defended. And at that time, I was out on the couch just chilling because my mom didn't have really a bed for me, so I was just crashing on the couch. She woke up. She's like, "What's going on?" She didn't recognize me.
Yeah, yeah,
terrifying.
How many times? So this is kind of funny. How many times, like, when you first got back, you're sitting at the dinner table and all of a sudden you panic because you don't have your rifle. You're like, oh my God, I left my rifle somewhere. And then you realize, oh, I'm at home eating dinner.
It's uncountable.
Yeah.
There's still some days now today that I think that.
Yeah.
And I've been out for a while.
Yeah. It's like a recurring nightmare.
Oh, it's terrible. It's so scary.
It is probably one of the most terrifying things ever, I think. Anyway, I guess we'll find out. And so you come home, you're on leave, then you go back to your duty station.
Kind of do the reintegration thing.
Right.
Yeah, they kind of start doing the reintegration thing. They have us on half days to kind of just get us reintegrated, which I thought was cool. At that time, I have a new company commander, new platoon or detachment leadership as well. My leadership is getting ready to rotate out to go do other things. A lot of moving parts. And then at that time, about a week or two later, we get a new battalion commander, battalion sergeant major, it's just, what the Army and Navy, everybody does. Everyone rotates at the same time, basically. But, just went through that. And then it kind of turned into, okay, we're now on a, duty station time where we get to do the normal things that we do. At that time, I was appointed or assigned or told, I don't remember which, but it's all kind of the same thing, that I'm going to be working, doing deductions and debt collections. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be that guy. Why?
I'll be the most loved guy in finance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much fun.
Right. Right. At the same time, I got to ask, were you dealing with any of the residual effects from your deployment? Mm-hmm. And how was that for you?
To be honest with you, it was a little bit easier having people I went with me.
Yeah.
So they kind of could relate. I'm not going to lie. I was really beat up mentally going through all that. I'm 20 at this time.
Right.
So I'm just, still processing it, but you get through it eventually, and then, or you just bury it with copious amounts of alcohol.
Right. Did you do a little bit of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd that work out for you?
I felt great.
I wish you could see this guy's face right now because I'm pretty sure he didn't feel great.
Sarcasm.
Yeah, it's not lost on me.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah. Did you fall into that trap or did you recognize it? Like,
To be honest with you, I kind of went swimming in that pool for a bit.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How long do you think?
A while.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
What brought you out of it? If you don't mind my asking.
Well, we'll go down this one first to get to this. So it's kind of a looping thing here.
Yeah.
So I turned 21, legally start drinking, start going to a bar, met a girl, fell in love with said girl, quote, quote. Girl's parents said he's had a beer at breakfast. He's had a beer at lunch. He's had a beer now. He had a shot yet just now. Is he okay?
Right. These are all red flags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. I'm like, it's just a beer. 2-3 hours later, another beer.
Right.
And then I'm like, that's just, I'm 21. It's what we do.
You're thinking this is completely normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that, every, department, Army, Navy, Marines, they all have their shtick.
Right.
Us with the Army is we drank a lot because that's just what we do. It's socially acceptable, and at the time I was still living in the barracks, so I was partying basically every night.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So her parents are concerned.
Oh yeah.
And what happens with that?
Kind of sweeping under the rug type thing. I mean, she's like, well, I'm a bartender and I know how much he drinks because, that's how we met.
Right.
So
she's not too concerned about this. Yeah.
Nah.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
So then what happens? Like, at what point do you get out of this pool that you're in?
To be honest with you, it was probably a few years later.
Oh, okay. All right.
A while later.
Yeah. I know these are hard questions.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard
anyway.
No, you're fine.
All
I'll
right.
answer them the best I can.
Yeah.
It's fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings none. Because we ended up getting married, and then I came down on orders to go work with NATO in Naples, Italy.
Oh.
So, I had to re-enlist to do it. So I re-enlisted for like 3 years or whatever.
Right.
Just kind of adjust my contract a little bit.
So how long was your first hitch then? Was that like a 3-year?
It was a 4-year active and 4-year reserve.
Okay.
And I was at the 4-year active. I was kind of at the end of that.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, hey, can we just go ahead and reword it a little bit so that I can do this and then kind of come back and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But so we went ahead, reworked it, did that. So we ended up going out to Naples, Italy, and working with NATO, kind of doing the whole let's go travel the world type thing. But if you know anything about Europe, there's a lot of places that have a lot of great alcohol.
Yes.
Germany,
Yes, there are.
Italy, France.
Yeah. Some of the best 500-year-old wine you'll find.
Oh no
in
kidding.
It's
Or
beautiful.
if you go to Eastern Europe, there's beer that's brewed by monks. That's even better.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's no reason to not drink.
No reason.
No
reason.
So you're married.
Yep.
You head to Naples.
Yep.
You're drinking, in hindsight, probably more than you should have been.
A lot more.
Yeah. So how was that tour?
It was a great tour.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was great. We were there for about 3-ish years. 3.5. Saw the world. At this point, I'm like 26, 27, something like that. Yeah.
Does it feel just a little bit shocking that at 26 you've lived that much life?
Yeah, I look back at it every once in a while to kind of like process it, and I'm like, I've really done that much. And I'm like, wow. And then I kind of look at back where I was like in high school, and I'm like, if you would have told me at 26, which is like 7-ish years after, 7, 8, 9 years after me graduating,
Right.
that I would have been seeing, I would have gone to war, gone to, the West Coast and love it, go to Europe and just see everything, and then go,
Met a girl, married her.
yeah, met a girl, married her.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else do I got to do now?
What else?
What's left? So you do your Naples thing. It sounds like that was pretty amazing. What's one of your best memories of being in Naples, or not necessarily Naples itself, but just that tour?
Oh, the whole tour.
Yeah,
There's
what
actually
was your best
several. One of my favorite things was actually one of the recreational centers that we had there was inside a dormant volcano. That's crazy,
That
right?
sounds pretty sweet.
They had a 9-hole golf course in there, and they had 3 softball diamonds and a camping ground inside a dormant volcano.
Oh,
Crazy, right?
Oh man,
Isn't that crazy?
that is.
Yeah, I'll have to show you sometime. But
I
yeah,
gotta see these pictures.
that's crazy. But that was pretty cool. Going up and down the Amalfi Coast on like a day cruise or whatever. You're like, it's poster card. Postcard, beautiful. It's gorgeous. And then seeing all these towns that, you've seen in like movies and Rome, and, my favorite part, actually, my most favorite part was actually in Eastern Europe, where the Iron Curtain or whatever they called it. I forget, what was that?
Yes, the Iron Curtain.
The Iron Curtain, I think.
I think it is.
Yeah, where Russia was being stupid and all Eastern Europe or whatnot.
Yeah.
So, see all those monuments, and it's just absolutely amazing.
It's a rich history.
Oh, there's so much. It's
from
like
hundreds of years ago.
even further back, like the Colosseum.
Right? This is where the lions ate the Christians, right here.
It's right here. And then there's the Christmas markets that have been there. All this, so much history.
Yeah.
I just so much.
Just kind of soak it in.
Oh yeah. Go over as a dry sponge and come back as a soaked sponge.
That's one way to put it. Yeah, no, I like that.
Mm.
And you do this tour, and your tour is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening?
I'm starting to transition out, because at this point, the unit that I was with at that time, not the greatest. When you're in a human resources battalion where everyone is human resources, they tend to cannibalize each other.
Yeah, in the military police, we said they eat their young.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing in the 42 Alpha realm.
Wow, I'm glad we weren't the only ones.
No, yeah, it was just me and my staff sergeant as the only 236 Bravo supporting the entire battalion.
Right.
So they were supporting this battalion. We were supporting this battalion, which was basically all 42 Alphas, making sure all their in processing, this, that, and the other was done. And then we were supporting on the other side, where the NATO side was another signal battalion, which was another 200-300 people. And it was just me doing all the processing. And then senior NCO, he was doing all the upper echelon stuff. But
Right.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. I was busy all the time.
Were you kind of glad to be done with that?
Oh, I was ready. I'm like, yeah, we're done. I don't want to do this anymore.
So did you come back stateside to out process then?
No, we actually did all our out processing in Italy.
Oh.
So what happened was I did what I had to do, clearing Naples.
Right.
And then they shipped me up to an army base up in northern Italy called Vicenza.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they didn't send us there. It was absolutely beautiful. Like up by the Alps.
Wow.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
So that's where I did all my ETSing and all that type of stuff, and turning stuff in and blah, blah, blah. And yeah.
So you were done with the Army,
Active duty Army.
duty Army, when you were out CONUS, right? You were outside the country.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a interesting.
It'd be weird to be a civilian after being a military guy there that whole time.
Oh, it was weird.
It's a whole different experience.
It was an entirely different experience.
Yeah.
But, just did that. And then the next night or whatnot, I just got my DD-214 and I kind of cried a little bit. I'm like, wow, this is really it.
It's a sobering experience, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
that. I talk to people all the time, and like it doesn't hit till you've got the 214 in your hand, and like
you're looking at it, you're like,
yeah, you're done.
wow,
right? Did I do the right thing?
Oh no, I knew I did the right thing.
Yeah. So how long did you stay there before you came back stateside?
I was there maybe because when I was doing the out processing and clearing and whatnot, I shipped the wife and the dog back,
Right?
Because I had a dog at the time. They came back home and they were kind of just waiting for me to get back because I had to do my stuff as well. I was there maybe another week, got on a Lufthansa plane and flew home.
Okay. And home would have been Washington State then?
No, it was actually, I came back to Michigan.
Oh, you came back. So she came to Michigan and you came back here.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens now?
Be honest with you, I'm still trying to figure it out to this day.
Yes, I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do any active reserve time?
Mm-mm.
So
I did a little bit of like a drilling weekends, but that I don't want to bash other units and whatnot because that was a terrible experience.
I think it's hard coming off active duty and then going into the reserves.
Oh, it's almost impossible feat, I feel like, because I'll say this, that when you're coming from active duty and you're going to a reserve where everyone, I feel like, knows everybody offline and they're kind of like all family at that point, because where I was at, there were several families that were in the same unit, and I'm like, that doesn't sit well with me. And then some of the leadership, kind of pick and choose when to be leadership, if I can say that.
Yeah.
Because my story, and then we'll just make this short and sweet then. My story with that particular unit was I was told when I transition out of active service, I have to report to my unit 30 days after I return.
Uh-huh.
I do that, and they tell me, come back because we weren't ready for you. I'm like, that's perfectly fine. The next month, I do the same thing, because I got a report. I don't want to go to jail.
Right.
Because, duh, who wants to go to jail? It's not a fun place. So from there, I'm like, you know what? Just call me. Shoot me an email, call me, do something when you want me to come up. They don't do that for 6 months. And then the following year, after said 6 months, they shoot me an email saying, hey, where are you? And I'm like, I've been waiting for you to get in contact with me for 6 months.
Right.
I've been trying to turn into a normal person.
Right. None of us are normal, by the way. So,
well,
so good luck with that.
Some sense of it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So now they're mad at you because you're not there, but you tried to be there.
Yeah, I tried to be there twice, and I name dropped the NCO who was no longer there, and they're like, oh, he dropped the ball bad. And I'm like, yeah, you guys left me flapping in the breeze.
Yeah. Sounds like they got it all worked out, though.
Yeah, they did. And then I ended up transitioning out of that. And I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't for me. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I gave it a try. I tried it for a couple months.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this isn't for me.
So I'm gonna go back because I got to ask this question.
Yeah, please.
I think we're kind of hanging here. So we talked a little bit about your time spent with your friend alcohol there. At what point did you stop? I don't say stop drinking, but stop drinking in excess, because it sounded like you were drinking to excess based on our conversation. So
yeah.
At what point did that stop? I'm just curious.
When I was at Naples, and I was getting up in the morning, and I poured myself a shot of Jack Daniels to go to work.
Yeah.
That's when it kind of hit me.
So you came to this realization. Then.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that's probably the best way.
It is, but to realize it as you're getting ready to go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning.
So what'd you do? Like,
I cried.
Yeah.
And I broke a few things on my way out to the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then did you seek help? Did you just quit cold turkey?
I kind of slowed down. I didn't really quit.
Right.
I slowed down. It kind of turned into let's slow down and do this only socially. Like, let's not come home and then open up a beer bottle or this, that, and the other.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So you sort of self-regulated
down a little bit. Yeah.
And you're okay now.
Oh yeah, I'm great.
Okay. So, all right. So you're back home. You got your wife and your dog, and now what? Because I think you're probably asking yourself that, like, now what?
Yeah, now what? To be honest with you, at that time, the missus at the time and whatnot, we kind of ended up going our separate ways. There were some conversations that we had while we were in Italy that we decided this wasn't the best fit. Yeah. So we ended up going through that. And then I'm like, you know what? I kind of need a job.
Right.
So I kind of applied at Menards over here in Michigan and worked there for a while to kind of get reacquainted with civilians. Very difficult to do, by the way.
They don't think like we do, Brennan, and they don't appreciate our sense of humor very
They
often.
don't. I apparently they don't like dark humor at all.
No.
I got talked to by HR quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you could probably tell.
I hear you. I mean, it's still that way at Thanksgiving. My son's an Army veteran as well.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the Thanksgiving conversations are uncomfortable for everybody but the two of us.
Oh yeah, we're sitting there yucking it up, and everyone's just sitting there with the sheer look of terror on their face.
Like, you can't say that, or you can't think that way, or whatever you have. Anyway, So Menards sounds like almost kind of like a safety net for you.
Kinda.
It was a good transition.
Kind of ish. I started working in Menards with the floor, kind of like sales and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you know what? I need more to do. So I kind of went down the let's try and be a manager route and went that way. And they ended up transitioning me to a manager role out into the Ann Arbor store. So I was commuting.
Yeah.
At this point, I was with my now wife. We were starting, dating, this, that, and the other. Found out.
How did you meet? Don't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, how did we meet?
Yeah, how'd you meet your wife?
Oh, it's an amazing story. Let me tell you.
Oh, I want to hear it.
She tells us this story to our daughters all the time. It's great. She's like, just remember, whenever you're in Menards and you need something, go to the oil aisle. So at this point, the oil aisle is where we met because she was looking to help a guest or customer or whatever the heck you want to call them. And I was just, walking by with a ladder. And she's like, hey, can you help this person? I'm like, yeah, sure. And we kind of just hit it off from there. And then strangely, later that day, she was asking me to help her with something. I'm like, man, you've been following me around a lot today. Do you like me? Do you want to go on a date or something? Just being completely sarcastic and blunt.
Wow.
And I'm like, no meaning by it. And she's like, actually, yeah. And I'm like, cool. And then we kind of just hit it off.
So coworkers.
Yeah.
Coworkers
For the longest time.
I love that story. Like, that's something out of a movie.
Straight out of How I Met Your Mother type thing, right?
You're following me around. You want to go on a date or what?
Exactly.
Wow. Because that could have gone the other way.
You know what? I was entirely guessing it to go the other way.
Yeah.
That's where I was thinking it was going to go.
You're a lucky man.
Oh, it's sometimes better to be lucky than good.
That's true. 100%. 100%. Yeah. So you're kind of, Menards was kind of good for getting back, and now you're like, maybe this just isn't for me.
Yep. Yeah. And then after working with Menards, after the management thing, and was like, you know what, you guys aren't giving. I need to get paid more. I need you to pay me more because I have a daughter now because my firstborn is 1 at this time.
Right.
So I'm like, I need to be a department manager. Oh, we'll make you a department manager. This, that, and the other. Kept pushing it off. And I'm like, okay, guys, come on. There's a slot open over here. Let me interview for it. And they're like, yeah, we actually gave it to this person. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going back to Jackson.
Right. You have to do what you have to do.
Exactly. So I go back to Jackson and, just start working in the back with the lumber and all that stuff. Kind of got tired of that after we had a record low winter of the -40.
Oh yeah, was that during, what do they call that thing?
The winter, the Siberian blast or winter blast or whatever it was.
Yeah, I remember that was cold.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So like they still expected us to be outside. I'm like, dude, the propane is like liquefying because of how cold it is. And it's not supposed to do that.
Right. Folks are freezing to the sidewalk. Can we do something about this?
Yeah. So after that, that's when I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start looking for a big kid job on the inside.
Yeah.
So at that point, I kind of started looking. I knew someone in the banking industry, and I'm like, well, I have a finance background with the Army, customer service. I know how to tell people they suck without telling them they suck.
Yeah. It's called tact, right?
Yeah, tactfully. Yeah. And kind of a way of rounding it off to be like, oh, they came up with the idea type thing. Mm-hmm. So I interviewed and ended up getting a job over at Huntington. Great place to work. Did that for about 5 years and was kind of stagnant because I was actively looking for promotion.
Right.
Again,
Right. There's only, in all fairness to any company you work for, there's only so much movement that goes on, right?
Exactly.
And so you, at some point, you have to make that choice.
Oh, yeah.
I love it here, but I want more.
Yeah. I've actively trying to, provide, because at this point now I have 2 kids.
Right.
And a mortgage. So I gotta.
You are the nuclear family.
Oh yeah. 2.5 kids or 2.3 kids, white picket fence, dog, cat.
Yeah.
All I'm missing is a bird.
Maybe we can help you with that.
No, that's okay. But no, and then just one day I had enough at work, and I just like, here's my keys, I'm done, bye, and walked out. Because I'm like, I've been here for 5 years, and you're basically not giving me any opportunity, so I just walked away.
Right. Well, and sometimes it's like that girl you dated in high school, right? Like you just realize that this is not the fit for me, and then it's time to go.
Exactly.
And that's fair to you, and that's fair to whoever you work for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then that started the hunt, and then luckily, behold, I was literally that day I put out my resume like 30 different places.
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna attack this, and we're gonna go after this. Places and things that I want to do. Had a couple interviews, weren't really good fits. When you have more experience than the person that's interviewing you, that kind of gets intimidating. And then I had the opportunity to come here to the VFW National Home. Met Sue Maris. It just kismet. It was.
Let's not gloss over this though, because you had an interesting thing happen, right? You interviewed for a job and somebody else got it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So full disclosure, Brennan and I were talking yesterday, and he shared this story with me. Like, holy crap! Like that never happens.
No, it never does. So I'm extremely lucky to have that. So I come to interview for the alumni engagement and management type thing. I'm like officer, type deal management. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I get to interact with people. I'm really good talking with people. I know how to talk to people from the bank, customer service, building relationships. That's literally what I've been doing the past 5 years.
Right.
And everything went great. I think they were pleasantly surprised how well the interview went. I feel like now thinking about it. And then,
it didn't go well enough for them to.
It didn't go well, no, because they already had a candidate in mind, and I'm no offense to whom got it. He's absolutely perfect for the job.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
we both work with him, and he's
perfect for it.
Right. So
I'm not mad at that at all.
No. So you don't get the job, but what happens?
But they talk to our individual who got the job, and they're like, "Hey, we have this guy that we interviewed. We absolutely love him. He has a finance background. Do you think we should bring him in as well?" And he's like, absolutely. And then they just create this position for me because everything just fit. And I'm so grateful for it. And I literally cried when I got home when they offered me the job. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a huge thing for me.
Right.
So
here you are.
Here I am now.
Yep.
Having this lovely conversation with you, my friend.
Well, in just so everyone kind of gets the big picture here too, this wasn't a mercy hire because you've done, since you've gotten here, just a few short months ago, you've done some amazing things, connecting with different partners in the community, getting some pavilions built, getting some dollars brought in because we are, not the VFW National Home's a nonprofit. So you have lived up to what they needed when they said, we're going to take a chance and create this position. You haven't disappointed them. So I don't want that to get lost in this conversation.
Yeah, it's still growing. There's some growing pains that are going with this position. I was challenged with the fact of earning my salary
Right.
for the year, and I've already surpassed that in 3 months. But it's just, the tenacity and the, I feel like this role it's a perfect fit. I feel like I'm very lucky and very happy to have it.
What more could you ask for?
I mean, not much.
Yeah. So, professionally, things are going well for you.
Oh, yes.
We kind of glossed over a little bit that you're married, you got kids. Do you mind talking about your family a little bit?
Yeah, we can talk about the family. Yeah.
Yeah,
what do we want to know?
So, other than your wife aggressively pursued you at work.
Oh, yeah. Almost stalkerish. Yeah.
Almost like protection order kind of thing going on there.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about her?
She's an absolutely amazing person.
Uh-huh.
She makes me want to be better every day. There are some opportunities for us to, get at each other, because everyone does, that's what it is, She's a medical assistant down in Jackson. She absolutely loves that job. One of our passions together is we thoroughly enjoy watching wrestling. Like it's I know it sounds corny, but it's just something that we enjoy.
Right.
It's just fun watching, the stories, the athleticism, the it's just entertaining.
Yeah.
Let me see what else. Man, my goodness, she just keeps me on my toes every day.
Sounds like she's your person.
Oh, she's my person.
Yeah. So you have 2 kids.
I have 2 beautiful daughters.
My 2 daughters are grown up, so if you need some help or advice, you can see.
I know where you work.
Yes,
I know where
do.
you stay.
So you have 2 daughters. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Yep, I have 2 daughters, 6 and 2, going on 17 and 15.
Yes. This is very familiar.
Exactly. The 2-year-old is the devil's child. She's very aggressive. The polar opposite of my 6-year-old. My 6-year-old is the sweetest little girl you'll ever meet. Very disappointed I haven't introduced you yet, but we'll make that happen. I mean, what more could I say about my kids? They're my kids. I adore the hell out of them. They're awesome. They make me want to be a better person even more. It's crazy.
Which one of them's most like your wife?
I plead the 5th.
Okay. I thought I was going to trick you into saying the 2-year-old, but I wouldn't do that to you.
How'd you know? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. It's been great getting to know you, and I know that the people who listen to this will really enjoy this conversation.
I hope so.
But I ask everyone one thing before we leave, and that is, years from now, when people are listening to these stories, what do you want them to take away from this conversation we're having today?
No matter how insignificant your role is or how you feel, it's still one of the most important things to keep moving forward with. So me being a financial pay guy, you think, oh, he's not going to do this, this, and this. You do. It's just, you have to do that and make sure everyone else is taken care of. You put other people first instead of yourself.
Thank you for listening to the Veterans Archives podcast, where every veteran story is honored and celebrated. Join us as we explore the rich histories and experiences of those who have served our nation. You can catch our podcasts on all major podcast platforms, as well as every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wreaths Across America Radio. At Veterans Archives, we believe your story matters. Visit our website at www.veteransarchives.org to discover more about our mission, access resources for veterans, and stay updated on upcoming episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to engage with our community. Subscribe, like, and share to spread awareness about our veterans' stories. Whether you're a veteran, a supporter, or simply curious about the profound journeys of those who have served, Veterans Archives invites you to listen in, learn, and be inspired. Join us as we continue to honor and preserve the legacies of our veterans. Remember, your story matters. Visit us online today at www.veteransarchives.org and connect with us on social media and stay informed and engaged. And as always, thank you for your support.